Hi guys, and welcome to another Man Card Monday. I have this super fun card for you today, and I think it will be great for those guys in your lives. Alright, so I have a little hack for you as well. So let me show you what we're going to use today. We of course are going to use some liquid glass that I just have in a little holder. We are going to use our ovals, stitched ovals, die cuts, some Tombow, some scissors, some foam tape, some archival black ink, this fun stamp set, Sending Smiles. This is part of the Flower Market Cricut cartridge from Close to My Heart. It's one of 3 sets of stamps, and this one has tons of sentiments on it that are perfect for lots of reasons. All right, so let's get started. The pieces that you will need a scrap of heather cardstock. Okay, you will also need a scrap of white daisy cardstock. I do not have that scrap for you because I have already pre-cut the white oval, and we are using the largest oval. We have, let's go from the top up. So we have a card base from the value pack. We have 2 pieces of black cardstock that are 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. We have a piece of white daisy and a piece of heather cardstock that are 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Both of these papers are from the Seasons mix-in packet. The stripe is 3 1/8 by 3 7/8. The plaid is 2 by 3 7/8. We have another strip of heather cardstock that is 1/2 by 4, and a tiny strip of black that is 1/8 by 4 1/8. All right, so let's do a few things first so that it can be done and waiting. So let's glue this piece down first. I know it doesn't necessarily make sense to do that first, but because it's such a tiny piece, I want to make sure that it is dry before I need to put any pressure on it. And this has a bit of extra on it, so I am just going to take a piece of scrap paper and rub that off. And this is a slight bit larger, so that I didn't have to worry about lining it up on the edges. I could just go across and I will snip off the edges when it's dry. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to stamp. So each stamp set comes with this little foamy piece, which makes it perfect and easy to create on the go. So happy wishes on your day. Perfect. And we are done with our stamping. All right, so we are going to let that dry. And while those are doing that, I'm going to show you this neat little trick. So this is the largest oval, so we do not have an oval that's larger. We do have plain ovals with no stitching on them, and they are slightly different, so they don't quite work the same. So I am going to show you a little tip. So we are going to lay down our oval die. We are going to take some washi tape. Now, you can use good washi tape, you can use ugly washi tape, whatever you'd like. I wouldn't recommend glitter washi tape, but you know, that's up to you. All right, so we're just going to tape that on there. We are going to snip off some of our excess so it's not in the way. In that process, I managed to move it enough. So you want to make sure that your washi tape is going to hold, but you also don't want it to necessarily be on the outside because we're going to be cutting there. So just like this, and your cardstock is going to want to move. Just know that. And we are just literally cutting along the edge. So if this were a pencil, we would be tracing. Instead, we are cutting. If you wanted, you could totally use your Cricut to cut the shape for you, but this works. You might have to clean up a little bit, like I have. Right here is where my two cuts met, so it did not cut very smoothly. And if you take a little bit more time, it might be a little bit more perfect, but then you get your edge around your sentiment. Okay, so let's glue this together now, shall we? So putting it all together is super simple. I am just going to use my Tombow for most of today. Makes it super simple, helps if you open it. I did go off the edge a little bit because I was trying to be fast, and so if you just rub the edge, you will take the glue off of there. Super simple. We're just lining that up, and then we are going to do the same for the rest of these pieces. We are using the dark and not the light of the heather. So you do want to make sure that you put the tape on the correct side. So I'm just lining up the 3 points to make sure that that is about as even as I can get it. It probably could be a little bit more even, and that's okay. That's okay. So again, we are lining up all 3 sides to make sure that the border is essentially the same. Again, it might be a slight bit different, and that's okay. Then I'm going to rotate and put this one at the bottom, again doing the same thing, lining up the 3 sides. Your papers will likely not meet. They might, depends on how accurate you were when you were cutting and how accurate your trimmer is. 2 very different things. All right, so we are going to trim off our excess black cardstock here. And we are just going to add this on here. And we're going to line up the grays with the grays, and we're just going to cover up our line here. And the front is essentially complete. We are going to glue these together, and then we are going to use foam tape on the back side of the heather to pop that up off the card. So before I do that, let's adhere our pieces to the card. So I am going to do it kind of backwards, upside down, because again, I'm going to stick with that 3-side rule, lining up these 3 sides. And since I am right-handed, it is easier to do that way. So that is the inside. So I'm going to open it and flip it upside down. And I'm going to do the same thing on the front, in that I am going to put it on upside down so that I can see those three sides and make them as even as possible. All right, and it's easier to do when you have flat surfaces, so you don't have to worry about running over the foam tape on your card. So for my foam tape, I have some pieces that I have cut up a little bit extra, and I am going to arrange them like this. And I do that so that they are not going to be sitting on top of our strip here that's in the middle, because since it is 2 layers of cardstock on top of the B&T paper, that's the printed paper, then it won't be lopsided. And there we go. Super fast, took like no time at all. It takes longer to make the cuts than it does to put the card together. So this would be something that you could easily do a bunch of, and you could have different sentiments and different reasons to send these cards out. You could change up the paper, super easy, and yeah, super fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you like my Man Card Monday. Join me next week when I have yet another Man Card Monday for you. See you next week. Bye-bye.